Pyro is the flamethrowing, air blasting, and the most counter-based class in TF2. With a solid 175 HP, he is a damage class that is able to ambush the enemy with their flames and use their air blast to counter much of the classes in Team Fortress 2. Pyro's purpose is to ambush unsuspecting players, use his air blast to counter enemy classes, and burn through multiple foes at close quarters. Pyro's continuous, short-range, low-burst damage flamethrower makes Pyro not the greatest at damaging enemies head-on, rather succeeding better at ambushing a preoccupied or unsuspecting foe, whittling their health down with consistent flames. Likewise, Pyro succeeds greatly at killing off any lower health or weakened foe at close range with minimal aim skill required. This flamethrower can be used to counter spies, as the flames can cover an area effectively, revealing spies when disguised as a teammate and even when cloaked invisibly. Since the flames can go through multiple foes and buildings, it is extremely effective in damaging grouped up players, which can be used to your advantage to disrupt a hold by the enemy. Pyro's flamethrower also includes an air blast, a compression of air that pushes enemies back for great crowd control, and reflects projectiles as a considerable counter to soldiers and demomen. It is Pyro's greatest impact in the game, as mastering air blast can change the tide in a fight. Pyro's arsenal includes a flamethrower, shotgun, and an axe. The flamethrower deals consistent short-range damage, while the shotgun serves as a good secondary with its burst, hit scan, bullet damage. They are meant to be used for different situations. The flamethrower throws a continuous stream of fire at a short range. This is effective at whittling down enemy health with minimal aim skill as long as the player keeps the stream of fire on the enemy. If the pyro stops, the enemy will be damaged by afterburn, which will last depending on how long the pyro has been burning the enemy for, except for enemy pyros who are immune to afterburn. The shotgun hits the enemy the moment you fire it with a burst of damage, making it a great secondary when you run out of flamethrower ammo or need to deal damage at a burst, at a slightly longer range than the flamethrower, making it good at finishing off fleeing foes. The axe deals high melee damage at close range. Having the third highest health pool in the game, same with Demoman, the Pyro is a damage class able to withstand good amounts of damage. This means that the Pyro is capable of dueling other classes like Scout, Soldier, and Demoman. Pyro is also immune to afterburn caused by enemy flames thanks to the flame retardant suit. Pyro's signature flamethrower has a high rate of damage at close range, albeit at a small range, dealing greater damage the closer you are. Keep in mind, as it is a stream of damage, it won't kill as instantaneously as other weapons. However, the flamethrower can output more damage as there is a ramp up in damage depending on how long you keep the flame on the enemy. Thus, the flamethrower is great against unsuspecting or preoccupied enemies, since by the time they react to your attack, they will be close to death. The flamethrower is not effective against enemy engineer buildings, as it will always deal the minimal damage. On a good note, the flamethrower does have the ability to suppress a medic's healing somewhat to a patient when engulfed by the flamethrower, meaning that the medic is less likely to out-heal a consistent stream of fire. With the flamethrower able to deal a stream of fire, it can deal damage effectively to an area without needing to have good aim skill. Using this can be used to counter disguised or invisible spies, as a flame can catch and reveal them rather easily. Thus, it is a good strategy to spy check, which is the act of a pyro blasting fire at his teammates and positions around the map where a spy can likely be. The flamethrower also deals damage after the attack with afterburn, a lingering damage that stays on the enemy depending on how long the flame was kept on them. Note that this type of damage will rarely kill, as a health pack, medic, or dispenser can immediately negate it. Pyro also has the ability to air blast with his flamethrower, and grants the Pyro with the most powerful counter game of all classes. An air blast is a gust of air that pushes enemies back or up, making it great for crowd control. As such, it can be an effective counter against ubercharged enemies, hindering their push and wasting their invulnerability. It can also be used to push enemy players into death pits or hazards, ensuring their guaranteed deaths. Air Blast also possesses the ability to reflect enemy projectiles like rockets and grenades. When reflected, the projectile will be able to deal damage to Pyro's foes with mini crit damage. This makes Pyro's Air Blast his most powerful tool to master, as it can fully negate an attack and deal devastating damage to the enemy. It's important to know, however, that this does not include sticky bombs. They can only be pushed back and won't hurt the enemy. Still, air blasting sticky bombs is a good way to disrupt an enemy Demoman's attack. Air Blast also has the added ability to extinguish burning teammates and rewards you with health for your good deed. Make sure to help when you can. Air Blast costs 20 ammo total, meaning that you have at least 10 Air Blasts total. This means that you can use it when you need to, just make sure not to spam it and run out of ammo. Losing Pyro's most important ability and primary fire can be devastating. Keep track of your ammo and know where to replenish it.
Pyro has weaknesses that are mostly attributed to his regular movement and weaponry. Pyro cannot kill enemies with his flamethrower as quickly as other damage classes. Again, going for weaker enemies and catching them off guard is the most effective strategy when securing kills as Pyro. Also, the shotgun comes in handy for dealing burst damage when needed. Make sure to use it to finish off enemies. Pyro is the most short-ranged class in TF2. Because of this, Pyro is disadvantaged to longer-ranged foes like snipers and sentries. It's best to avoid open sightlines and instead try flank routes to ambush the enemy from. Pyro also has a hard time chasing down enemies with his flamethrower, especially those with high movement. Keep track of the map that you're playing on and places with small rooms and hallways. Ambushing and cornering enemies is the best way to make sure that you can secure the kill. With his flamethrower and decent health, Pyro appears to be nothing more than Noob's best friend, charging forward and spraying down enemies with flame. But don't think Pyro lacks a skill requirement. With the ability to air blast and adversity to overcome, he becomes a fun class to master. While he may not be as versatile or as effective as other classes at all times, Pyro is one danger to be afraid of with his air blast utility, which at a moment's notice can turn the tide of battle.